Hello, and welcome to Making Creativity Pay, the podcast where we talk to people in creative industries about how they promote and market their work. I'm Dan Barnett, and on this episode I spoke with Charlotte Laidet, who is Festivals and Programme Director for the Leicester Comedy Festival, which is running from the 4th to the 22nd of February. We talk about what it takes to put the festival together, why Leicester has an important place in the festival calendar, and the other work the Big Difference Company, who run the festival, do around promoting health and well-being using comedy, as well as promoting comedy as an art form. I started by asking Charlotte to give a quick introduction about herself.
So I'm Charlotte Laidet, and I'm the Festivals and Program Director for a Big Difference Company, which is the charity running Leicester Comedy Festival, the UK Kids Comedy Festival, and our venue, The Big Difference, in Leicester City Centre. A bit about myself. I've been in Leicester and working for Big Difference for 9 years now. I came from France, did a degree at De Montfort University in Cultural Events Management, and volunteered for Leicester Comedy Festival at the time during my degree. Which led to me doing a placement there and as an event assistant. And then over the last 9 years, I just climbed my way up through the team, and now I'm the festival director.
Okay, so you came to Leicester and you liked it so much you've never left.
Yeah, exactly. I think I like to describe it as very underrated. A lot of people come here and think it's going to be a temporary thing, and actually they just fall in love with the place and the people and just stay forever. It's very hard to leave Leicester.
You mentioned there being part of Big Difference, which is a charity. I don't know if you want to describe a little bit about Big Difference and kind of what they do, and kind of, because I guess that's kind of different to a lot of other festivals.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, Leicester Comedy Festival is often seen from the external point of view as a commercial thing, but because we're non-for-profit, we're a charity, the ticket income goes back to the act. So we don't make our income based on that. We produce some shows, and so we do have some income from the ticket, but the vast majority of it just go back completely to the act. So the charity itself, the mission and values is to educate and promote mental health through the arts, and mostly through comedy. So one of the things is to recognize comedy as an art form and use comedy as a vector for young people or adult, anyone to talk about mental health or to talk about difficult subjects through comedy. And so that's the main thing that we do. We work with schools and young people. We work with charities locally and nationally to put together projects to go and develop those missions. And so throughout the festival, we have obviously commercial events and big acts doing tour shows and things like that. But we still have some conversations with industry people. We have some work with children. So we do a workshop during half term for teenagers to learn about comedy. And we work with primary schools who perform at the festival for the first time. So we try to have those elements of the charity in the festival itself as well.
And I mean, how difficult have you found it with Arts Council or government or anyone else kind of taking comedy seriously, as an art form and not just it's something a bit more frivolous?
It's still, I mean, it's still ongoing. I think the Live Comedy Association is doing a lot of work to getting government and national bodies to recognize comedy as an art form. Because currently, whenever you hear statements about arts and performing arts, it's always drama, theater, dance, music, poetry, and comedy is almost never mentioned. So there's a big lobbying movement that is trying to get comedy recognized. It's still seen as a hobby for most people, really. So I mean, this podcast is also important for that reason. I think it's for people to recognize that there's a whole industry behind it. It drives a lot of economy in the cities and in the country. It's very important for people, for people's mental health, obviously, but in terms of an industry itself, it has a lot of weight as well. So it's, that's part of our job, I think, to educate people on it. So again, when we talk to our partners and sponsors, we explain to them that, yes, they are supporting a comedy festival, and that's all fun and great, and we obviously appreciate it, but we try to educate those people about what it actually means and the work that's behind it for the artists, for the venues, the promoters, the agents, the technicians, for them to understand the bigger picture behind it. And hopefully then, that knowledge is passed along to other people, and then it's broadly better recognized across everyone.
So it's just under 2 weeks as we speak to the festival starting. Are you at the stage where everything's done and you can kind of enjoy yourself, or is there still a lot to do?
Yeah, I wish. No, there's still a lot to do. I think everyone who runs festivals or events know that while we are organized and try our best to anticipate everything, there's still a lot going on at the last minute. So yeah, so it's getting there. We have a small team, but we are currently working with our volunteers to get them ready for the festival, and all the acts, promoters and venues are gearing up to it. So it's a bit manic, but it's getting there. Basically, it's always the last minute things to put together a festival. As you know, there's so many elements moving together and working together. So to get everyone in place at the same time is what takes the most work and the most time, really. So now that we're just 2 weeks to the start of the festival, yes, people are starting to realize it's happening now. So we need to get things done. So yeah, so it's getting there. It'll be ready. It's always there, and obviously with events anyway, throughout the day there's always stuff happening anyway. But that's part of the job, to be reactive and to anticipate those things.
Leicester's, I know, been going quite a while now. It's a pretty well established festival, but I mean, there's so many now. I mean, we talked a bit earlier about the Women Comedy Festival in Manchester. There's obviously the Edinburgh Fringe, which is huge, and Cambridge, Camden. I could probably spend half an hour listing all the.
Yes.
I mean, what in your mind kind of makes Leicester a kind of either different or special, or kind of somewhere where people should definitely perform?
So I think with Leicester, there's a bit of the fact that it has such a longevity. So it's been going on for more than 30 years now, and it's quite big, but it's manageable. So it's big in the sense that we have 700 events happening across 19 days. We have 75 venues in Leicester and Leicestershire. So it's obviously a huge thing happening. If we count Edinburgh Fringe as a comedy festival, then Leicester is second to it. Edinburgh Fringe being an arts festival is obviously much bigger because it doesn't have only comedy; it has a lot of other stuff. But so I think Leicester is the biggest festival fully comedy in the UK. Obviously, much smaller to the Fringe still, but that makes it an important milestone for comedians. It's at the start of the year, so usually people comedians, see it as, okay, this year this is the show I'm doing, so they will potentially perform it for the first time in Leicester. So despite the fact that it's big, it's also very friendly and manageable and affordable. So we try to keep our festival fees to the lowest possible. The model is increasing gradually depending on the capacity of the venues the shows are happening in. And then as I said, most of the ticket income comes back to the act. So if you're an act and you pay your festival fee, 100% of your ticket sales will come back to you. So there's some exception to the rule when it's a show we produce direct, and sometimes the act will get a fee instead of a ticket sale. But in general, 95% of the case, it's you put on a show, you pay a fee, which is for a small venue is less than 100 quid, and then you get all of your ticket income. So I think it's affordable. And Leicester itself, because of that longevity of the festival, the audience is very comedy savvy. So one thing that we hear from our surveys to the acts and to the venues as well is that the Leicester audience is great because they will take a chance on a work in progress. They will take a chance on an act that they've never heard of before. And they know what to expect. They know how to behave with comedy. They know how it works. They will provide the right atmosphere for the acts. So I think a lot of acts just love coming here because they feel so comfortable. They know it's a safe space for comedians, and that's it's they have a great time. I think that's some of the elements why Leicester is so good, really.
Promotion, especially, how much these days is promoting online versus your kind of more traditional, local press, local TV, all that kind of stuff?
It's increasingly online, really. I think we still try to have a decent mix. So for the festival, we have a printed brochure. That's still when we talk to our audiences, that's still one of the things that they like to take, to have that paper brochure. And it's a bit of a memorabilia item that people like to collect over the years as well. So we do have that. But then most of it is going to be online. We have local radios, BBC Leicester, and we have some East Midlands Today, those kind of programs that will contact us regularly. But then it's very tricky to get any other local coverage. I mean, the state of the press, the printed press in general, is quite complicated. So obviously we do have communication with the Leicestershire Live and local other media. But in general, it's going to be online mainly. We've just got a new website for that reason, which is more mobile friendly, and we invest more and more into digital advertising and other screens elements in the city, those sort of things, rather than printed products. The fact the big difference with a festival like Edinburgh is that we can't have all the walls of the city covered with posters for a month. So we have to be creative in finding other things. So in terms of the festival promotion, that's that. And then obviously each act and venue is trying to do their own thing. So it depends on the acts and the show's nature and which target audience they're trying to get, really. But again, increasingly, everyone is mostly social media and online press. Interviews with the Chortle, Beyond the Joke, and British Comedy Guide, the usual guys. So there's a lot of that. I think it's quite tricky to get any more physical printed promotion now.
Yes, so somewhere like Edinburgh, like you said, you can plaster it and it takes over the place. But do you get much support from Leicester Council? Because obviously, it's a big thing. It hopefully drives a fair amount of tourism and people into the city and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So the city council is still our main partner. Leicester City Council and the Montfort University are the main partners of the festivals. And then we have a bid in Leicester and Business Improvement District, and they also are a sponsor of the festival. So yes, we do get some support. We have some financial support from them, but also they do help us get access to some things like in an easier way. So again, the screens in town, for example, to promote the festivals and things. But as many councils, they also struggle to provide that support. So it's difficult, but we always find a balance. The people we work with at the council love the festival and are very, very supportive of it and try their best to give us the opportunities that we need. So it's still crucial that we work with them. We are one of the biggest festivals in the city, so it's important to them as well that we survive and that we keep being sustainable. So that's a win-win relationship, really.
So when someone wants to come and perform at Leicester, what's the kind of way it works in terms of finding a venue, finding the right time, and pricing and all those kind of things?
So we have a Take Part website, and anyone can. So what we like to say is, because we're an open access festival, anyone can bring a show or do a set at Leicester Comedy Festival if they find the space for it. So we have about 70 venues every year. So some of them have been part of the festival since the very beginning in 1994, and then every year we have some that stop, some that come back, some that are new. So we have a very good amount of regular venues, and then always every year we try to bring in new venues. We try to improve on accessibility, and we try to expand geographically as well in areas of Leicester that we've not covered yet. So then you register your show in September, and that's when you will pay the registration fee. And as I say, that's calculated based on your number of performances and the capacity of your venue. And then we launched the festival end of October, early November. So that's a date that will be decided by then. And then it's promoting, and the festival happens very quickly. We always think it's so far away, but it's not. It's really happening so fast.
Yeah. So how important is free and pay what you want within the mix? Because I know that's quite a big thing in Edinburgh about the free fringe and all that kind of stuff, and it improves accessibility for people in terms of kind of who can come along. I mean, the upfront costs obviously are not as much in Leicester as they are at the fringe. It's not as big a deal. I imagine it still helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, also, even though I said the fee is small, for some acts, it's still a decent cost that they need to factor in. So the pay what you want. I mean, it's crucial. I think in comedy, people expect it anyway. I think it's it's a value that we want to keep for the audience, to make sure people can go and enjoy comedy and quality comedy without having to pay £30, £20 a ticket to go to a big theatre tour show, for example. They can go to their local pub and see something great for really little money. So if they can't afford anything, it's free. If they can donate something to the act, then it's up to them. But I think it's a great way to show that you can enjoy comedy and quality comedy for very little. In terms of the ads, some of them prefer that, especially because in Leicester we have a lot of work in progress. So I know a lot of acts feel the imposter syndrome of charging a ticket if it's still a work in progress. Some work in progress are very advanced already and do deserve a price ticket. It's all to the discretion of the act, really, what they feel is better, what their audience is, and how they feel they want to approach this. Um, with our website and ticketing system, you can pay what you want already on the website in advance. So you can choose to donate without having seen the show already. And then obviously at the end of the show, people can donate on the night. I think, yeah, I think that's just a great model for everyone. I do still, though, argue sometimes for comedians to charge a ticket. I think there's some ways where it's definitely worth it to do a pay what you want show or free, because of the fact that it might be a very early stage work in progress, or you're a new comedian and you have no audience yet, so you need to manage your expectation and those sort of things. But I still have some, established comedians who will, I think, put themselves down a bit, and I feel like you have to tell them, no, you deserve to, your show and what you're doing deserves a price. And so, when I say we try to educate people outside of the comedy industry in terms of what putting a comedy show cost, sometimes you also have to remind comedians that what they do is worthy, and that they need to put a price to their talent as well. And ultimately, it is their choice. But I try to encourage people to realize that, yes, what they do is comedy, and it's as important as if you were doing anything else. And nobody would question to pay a ticket to go to see other gigs and things like that. And so we try to remind people that, yes, comedy is a professional occupation, and therefore you should pay a decent ticket for it. So I think both models are great. It just depends how you use them, and ultimately it's always the act's choice to do what they feel is right for their show.
And so obviously the Edinburgh Fringe, a lot of people are doing 20, 25 shows across a month, and it's a huge undertaking. And then a lot of the other festivals, someone will do one show. I know at Leicester there's some people who do maybe 2 or 3 nights. Do you think, it kind of it's big enough to kind of support that for some artists to kind of do a few nights to kind of to get the momentum a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it depends on who the act is. Some people will have a lot of followers and audience in Leicester. And also it depends again on those costs and the budget they put together. But most of the shows will do a one-off. We do have the regulars that will do a work in progress and their finished show from the previous year, and then they go around in cycles like this. So they will always do a new work in progress, but they will also bring the polished version of their show that they started in Leicester a couple years before. So that works quite well. Or we have most of the acts will do one show and a couple of mixed bills around. But yeah, I think it's quite rare when they stay more than 2 or 3 days. But again, it depends on who they are. If they have a big audience in Leicester, they might, and if they do a small venue, then they could do a couple of shows. If they're part of a tour, it's going to be one date, and then the next day they'll be in Birmingham or Nottingham or something. So it varies, but overall, it is 1 or 2 dates, which is also why the promotion is very different to Edinburgh, because there's no you can't fly every day for your show because you're going to be here only for that specific time. So that's why the promotion needs to be done from the distance, usually. So that's the different aspect to it, really.
And part of the festival as well is the awards. I know that's a pretty big thing within it, and obviously you've got the scale to make that mean something.
Yeah.
I mean, do you enjoy that kind of part of the process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to. So the awards is led by an award panel that's separate to me and my team. So I coordinate and make sure it happens. But then the people running it do it independently, so I don't have a say in any of that. But I think it's really important, and we have a good track record over the last few years of spotting people that are nominated or winning our awards are usually winning something in Edinburgh or something going on TV in the following year. And so our panel definitely has a good track record of spotting brilliant talents very, very early on, and having that good feeling to say, okay, this person is definitely one to watch. So I think that's incredibly important. I think they're very well recognized within the industry. People are proud of getting those. I can see people putting the logo on their posters and things like that when they go on to next festivals after us. So you can see that for the acts, it's very important. And then for us as a festival and Leicester based, we also recognize the best venues, the best promoter, and we have some awards for local community award. We have something for the best business partners. So these are obviously less shiny to the broader audience or the press release, but they're important to us because yes, we want to obviously recognize the best shows because this is the core of what we do. But we also want to make sure we recognize and reward all the local businesses and group of people that support us and that make the festival what it is. It couldn't work the way it works if it was just a commercial festival with comedians coming and doing their show. We do need the support of the local community. We do need all those venues to put the work behind it. So I think it's important for us to recognize them and to put them on the same level as the best show and the legend of comedy and those sort of things. I think it's like all of these elements have a very, very different impact on the festival, but it's all equally important to me.
So obviously, right now it's probably 100% of your work is the festival, and then other times in the month it might be a bit less. I mean, roughly speaking, how much of your is the festival, and then the rest of the time is working on the more charitable side and the workshops and things like that?
I mean, the festival takes all year, and at this stage we already talk about 2027 as well. So it's still there. We're quite a small team. A few of us are full time. I think we're 4 people full time, and then the rest is part time permanent people. But we're less than 10 people running all of it. So it's it takes a lot of energy and capacity. So yes, right now it's 100% festival. And then, in the months afterwards, we evaluate all of it. So we have to take the time to talk to everyone about it. So while the festival is done, we still do a lot of work before we start working on the next one to evaluate and talk to the public, to the acts, to the venues, to the partners, and see how we can improve. And then we go back on the cycle again. But still, it's, between April and August, I would say, then I can also focus on other stuff. So we have our venue year round anyway to run. So we have a venue manager who does an amazing job putting on shows all year round, and comedy is part of that, obviously, but music and other art forms. And as a charity, as I say, we have other projects trying to reach out to other charities, other communities, and schools. And then we also run other projects. So we do a few comedy shows outdoors in the summer. We do some work with our business partners. So we do a lot of workshop and training for people in at work and to gain confidence in public speaking, all those sort of things. So all of these tend to happen between April and September, October, because we know that November till February is pretty much full on the festival.
Obviously, you've got enough to be getting on with anyway, but do you see other parts of the arts coming into the festival, or you think keep it pure, keep it comedy, and that's that's a lot of an easy message.
I think for a few people did ask us if we wanted to turn into a fringe. I think for now we would like to stay fully comedy. I think we like the fact that we are a uniquely comedy festival. I think there's so much range in comedy already. Yeah, so we do have musical comedy, sketch, clown, alternative. So even though it is just comedy, it actually includes so many art forms in it. So no, I don't think. Also in Leicester, there's quite a lot of other festivals, so it's a very lively and culturally rich city. So there's stuff happening all year round already. So I think it would be difficult for us to try and establish a fringe or a multi art form festival when there's already all of those other stuff happening in the year, and we work with those people as well, and so everyone has their expertise and their niche, and I think it's quite good that to leave the experts to it. And we do comedy. Nobody else is trying to do comedy, a comedy festival. So then when there's a dance festival, we're not going to try and do the same. I think it's important to keep to what we know. But in the future, who knows what's going to happen? But for now, it's definitely not a plan for the short term.
Thanks to Charlotte for coming on the podcast. You can find out more details in the show notes about the festival and the huge range of acts performing between the 4th and the 22nd of February. If you enjoyed this, check out our other episodes of a variety of comedians, musicians, authors and others in creative industries talking about trying to make creativity pay. Thanks for listening.